It's time for you to create your fate. Welcome back to Create Your Fate. I'm your host, Life Coach Meg Ellis, and I'm here to help you create your best life ever. If you are on your growth journey, we're going to be best friends because I am sharing everything I have learned on my own journey to save you time, energy, and to help get you there faster. And today I'm sharing a special treat with you. I could not keep this to myself. So, if you are somebody who struggles with being vulnerable and thinks it's wildly uncomfortable, and you think it actually might be affecting your relationships, listen up because Phoenix 8 Life Coach Angela is here to talk all things vulnerability to help you have deeper, more meaningful relationships in your life. And she's here to help you not be scared of being vulnerable too. So she's going to teach you how you can see vulnerability as strength instead of weakness. And now, I do have to say, this is a super special episode that I'm sharing with y'all. If you didn't know, I recently launched my online community, which has 24/7 unlimited access to exclusive coaching tools. We got Enneagram resources on there. We got meditations, even live coaching calls in the community to meet other people just like you who are on their growth journey as well. And in this community, we have an exclusive podcast filled with special episodes only for members. And y'all, these episodes are good. You get coach to coach, straight up, no fluff conversations between me and the life coaches of Phoenix 8. I know. What's better than listening to the thoughts and advice from one life coach? Getting advice from two, and sometimes even more than that. So, hearing from all of the coaches who discuss really helpful topics like negativity traps, alignment. And on this particular episode, Angela and I talk everything vulnerability. Y'all, this episode was seriously everything. And we had originally recorded it for the community only, just the membership community. But it was so good I wanted to share it with y'all and give you a little taste of what you can expect with your membership. So tune in to hear some amazing gems dropped in this episode and check out the link in the show notes to see how you can get your special offer to check out the community absolutely free. So with that, let's tune in to the exclusive Fate Community membership podcast with Life Coach Angela. Welcome back to the Fate Community Podcast, the show designed to give you all of the tools that you've been looking for on your personal development journey. We're here to keep you going and here to keep you growing. And today we are growing with Life Coach Angela. Hi, Angela. Good morning. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh my God, of course. We have so many magical conversations, and I'm so excited for this community to get to know you more because you're just such an amazing person. I knew it from the moment I met you. So tell the community a little bit about yourself and then you as a coach, all the things.
My name is Angela. I am an Enneagram 1, wing 2. So that tells you a lot about me. Uh,
Everything you gotta
I,
know right there.
right there, that says it all. I'm a wife, a mom. I am a business owner, a nurse practitioner, a life coach. Yeah, I do it all. Recently have been put on the PTO at my kid's school and room mom.
You're like, I'm the room mom. So clearly we are getting like a calendar together and a checklist and all these things. And you're hopping right into it.
The checklist is done.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. As an Enneagram 1, the reformer, the perfectionist, if you are newer to the Enneagram,
Yeah.
you'll learn they love their checklists. So we don't want to take them away from you. Tell us about who you love to coach, your realm of passions.
I am a mom to 2 girls, 2 young girls, and, going through, the growth of our oldest, who is 10, almost 11. And just seeing a lot of things that I went through as a kid, her going through the same things, really just want to be able to prepare her and other girls. And so I really like working with young girls, adolescent girls. I like working with moms and daughters. I think that's such an important relationship and dynamic. And as moms, we forget what it's like to be the daughter. And as daughters, we don't ever really see our mom as a person. We see our mom as mom. And we don't realize that she's gone through things that shape the way that she parents. And I think working with that group just helps open everybody's eyes to why we are the way we are.
And how you can have better relationships. Who doesn't want a better relationship with their kids, right?
Exactly.
Who doesn't want their kids to have a better relationship with them, you know?
Yes, exactly.
And that leads us into a very passionate topic of yours, which I love that this is the first episode that we're doing together, because I think that goes right into relationships between parents and children, but other relationships too, friendships, partnerships. You see this topic a lot, I feel, with romantic partnerships, but there's so many different areas where it's so powerful, and the power of vulnerability, which I know is just, ooh, even the word, oh, I don't want to be vulnerable. Tell me why this was important to you and why you wanted this to be our first episode together.
It's if you know me, or even if you knew me a couple years ago, you would know that vulnerability is not my strong suit.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's anybody's natural strong suit, girl. I don't know. I've coached a lot of types, a lot of people. Ooh.
It was always I have to be perfect. I have to do things right. And so the best way to be perfect or put on this perfect facade was not showing any vulnerability, not showing any weakness, right? Like any emotion, just not showing anybody anything that they could use against you.
Use it against you later. Ooh, this is gonna be a good episode.
And I just always had kept that very close to the vest. And I started to see that obviously affected the way that I interacted with not only my husband, not only my friends, but most importantly, my kids. And I could see how my kids, my struggle to be perfect and not be vulnerable affected my relationship with my kids. We didn't have a close relationship for a very long time.
Mhm. And you can see how that pairs into what you said earlier about my kids just saw me as mom and not a human. And it could be the same way, reverse. I'm not a mom, which is you're the expert on this, not me. You can start to see people in these roles, whether it's husband, your own parent, or I am this role. And it's hard to find vulnerability when you're strapped to a certain role.
Exactly. I think that we all get in that mindset of, I did this one time, this exercise where it's okay, write down who you are. Write down when somebody asks you about yourself, write down the first things that you say. What do we say? I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm
Mhm.
this. I'm that. We don't ever say who we are, right? And so
Right.
it's like you attach yourself to this title, to this job, essentially. And it doesn't really allow you to be open because if I tell you who I really am, I have to be vulnerable, right?
Mhm.
I have to put that out there that you're going to accept who I am. I
Yeah.
am emotional. I am passionate. I am loving. I am caring. I am authentic. This is who I am.
Right. This is me.
This is me at my core. But if
Right.
I tell you that, I have to put that in your hands that you're going to.
And that goes back to even the introduction on the podcast. Hey, tell us who you are. All your roles. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a PA, and I'm a business owner. And I know you said more things, but let's just capitalize on those four right now. In all of those things separately, it's going to be very hard for me to be vulnerable. I'm a business owner. I can't be vulnerable. I'm a mom. I can't be vulnerable. And so you're attaching yourself to these roles, but then you hear these beautiful things about who you truly are. I'm caring. I'm emotional. This is what is important to me. This is who I truly am as a human. So talk to me about this shift because I know we've talked about it before and it's profound and I want you to share this with people because people have to know this. When you start seeing yourself not as your role, but you as a human, what did that shift look like for you?
Oh man, that was big. It was, I think, seeing yourself as more. I think for me it was maybe just holding myself back. Okay, I know I can do these roles because I've been doing them. So I know I'm good at these. But if I shift into this vulnerability, this new territory for me, I don't know if I'm good at that. And ones don't do well with things they don't know they're good at.
Yeah, people typically don't anybody with an ego, which is us all, that part of you that keeps you safe, right? Literally says, "Hey, we want your life to be as predictable as possible so we can protect you. That's the only time we can protect you." So, you doing something that you've never done before? Oh no. We don't like
Yeah.
that.
Yes. And so, it was it was scary, right? Those things are scary. And we worked a lot and last year and my big word was fearless, right? I'm going to be fearless. And it took a lot of courage to be vulnerable. And I'll say it took a lot of courage to be vulnerable with my kids more than anybody else. I know my husband loves me, right? No matter what I bring to him, I'm safe with him. My friends, same thing. I can bring these things to you and you're going to, if you love me, you're going to be there. If you're not for me, you'll run away and that's
Right, you've
okay.
kind of weeded your friends out. When you get
Exactly.
as you start to, grow up, as we grow up, you start to weed out the people who aren't for you. In your 20s, you're surrounded by friends who, "Hey, we've been in college together, we've been in high school together," and then you change, you're like, and you find out, "Oh, wait, who is a safe space for me to be vulnerable with?" And a lot of times people don't be or struggle with being vulnerable because, "Ooh, I might get burned." So you learn those hard lessons. But as you get a little bit older, you have these secure relationships. Hey, I have these friendships that they're fountains, they're not drains, they're safe spaces. My partner, we have this deep level of connectivity. But kids, that's interesting. How do you become vulnerable with your kids?
If anybody has kids, they know kids are brutal.
Yeah, true. True.
Kids are gonna don't ask questions you don't want answers to. Let's just
The
say,
honest truth is in the mouth of a child.
yeah. And I think the big thing was seeing how me being stoic was affecting my kids. My brother passed away a few years ago, and that was a very traumatic situation for me. My kids were on the outside of everything and hearing things, tidbits. And so whenever we had sat them down and told them what was happening and what had happened, it didn't show any emotion for them. And at the time, it was me trying in my head thinking I'm protecting them and I'm being strong for them. And now looking back, it's no, they needed to see that it was okay to be emotional. It was okay to cry. It was okay to be scared and to ask questions and to be confused. And it was like I took that from them. And I had noticed over time the relationship, especially with my oldest, that we just really weren't close. And it took a lot of soul searching and a lot of growing and being happy with who I am and knowing who I am to be vulnerable with her. And then it was like this light switch where once she started hearing these really embarrassing stories about me that I would never ever tell, or these just crazy things that would happen, or just seeing that I'm not a robot, I'm not just mom,
Right,
that
the perfect mom that
right, that
has all the answers.
I'm a person and I have feelings and I go through things and I have gone through things. And once I really started opening up and sharing those with her, and then obviously my 6 year old is she just does her own thing. So sometimes she's in there, sometimes she's not. Just sharing that with them, it was like this whole new relationship started to blossom. And then with that came almost like permission for her to be vulnerable with me. And if you're a mom, you know that is such a beautiful place to be,
Mhm.
to know that your kids feel that you are their safe space for them to share all of their deepest, darkest fears, secrets, joys, excitements, dreams. That it just really started to, I think, open my eyes to how I had it backwards, right? Where it was like this whole time thinking being vulnerable was weak when I had to be strong on the outside. And it was like, no, it's vulnerability is strong, it's strength, right? It's courage. It takes a lot for somebody to open up to you and to tell you these things.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, thank you for that just powerful expression of how vulnerability truly is the strongest thing that you could do. And if you think about why vulnerability is so difficult, and first of all, you're seeing yourself as just a human, right? I'm not all these roles. I am all of these roles. I love being all these roles. I might not like some of these roles, but the person who goes around and does all these roles, right? Who you truly are. Who are you? What kind of person are you? First of all, I'm a person, meaning I'm a human. So let's just start with the super basics. I am a human. And whoever you are in a relationship with, whether it be a friendship, a romantic partnership, parent child relationship, whoever, siblings, we all are humans and we all have this fear of rejection, right? If I tell you this deep, dark thing, or not even deep, dark, but this something that is special to me that I'm not super comfortable sharing, like I don't love expressing this or this, right? I wasn't perfect at this one thing and I have to share something that I quote unquote feel less than in. You might reject me, and every human has that. You could judge me. You could say, "Oh, I've never done that before. That's weird." That's the word like, that's number one thing you don't wanna hear. "Oh my god, just me? Got it." Or maybe you have this past trauma of when somebody laughed at you or maybe in a friendship, "Oh, I can't be vulnerable with my friends. I can only have a level of this closeness because the last friend I told laughed at me, and then she told everybody else in our friend group," and all that. And then thinking that, okay, to your point earlier, are you going to take this and use it against me later?
Yeah, and it's when we all I think we all feel that way. We all think that way to some extent, but we also are all looking for connection, right? We all want to feel connected with our people or even with anybody. Like you just want to feel connected.
Mhm.
And when you have that kind of like wall up, like that arm's length, I'm only going to let you get this far, you lose that connection. I'm going to control what I'm telling you or what I'm letting you see because I don't want you to use it against me. Is how do you really get to know somebody? How do you really connect with somebody if they don't even get to see like your funny things? They don't even get to know those weird little nuances.
Yeah.
But you can't.
It's like this picture, like the princess in the castle tower, but and she wants to get to know, I think the Disney prince, right? Or whatever. This kind of just visualization. And it's, hey, I want you to like get to the tower to get to know me and see me. I want to be seen for me. But there's this moat with a drawbridge and like a big gate and like maybe a dragon kind of guarding everything. It's, I'm only going to let you into there. So, how well can you truly get to know someone with a moat and a gate and a drawbridge and a dragon, right? It's, hey, you don't actually need all of these things to protect you all the
Exactly.
time, right? Use your discernment. Hey, you are not somebody who I can confide in, but that doesn't mean I can't confide in this person.
Right.
Not everybody has to stay outside of the gate, right? There's definitely, you want to confide in safe relationships, but how do you make your parent child relationship a safe relationship? And you use the word connection. At the end of the day, that's all we really want is to connect. That's all we really want. But I can't connect with you when there's a drawbridge, a dragon, a moat, a big wall. And here's the thing is I think it's a lot easier for us to do. I know this is, you always think, oh my God, I'm so healed. I'm so evolved. And then you're like, oh no, there it is. And I'm like, I really want this. I have these amazing friendships. I'm so deep and vulnerable with my friends. But then in my personal romantic relationship, I'm like, I just want this relationship with you too. And it's, oh, wait, am I being vulnerable with you? Am I expecting you to do something that I'm not doing in this relationship? Oh, that's why I can't connect because I'm expecting you to do something that I'm not doing. If I want to take responsibility for this, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it out there. Oh, that's so scary though, right? It is. Let me put this out there and try to connect. Am I trying to connect or am I waiting for you to connect? And
Yeah.
in a parent child relationship, that's highly unrealistic.
It is because obviously your kids are going to mirror you. That's what they know you and they know how you act and how you respond to things. And so if you're not open and invulnerable, obviously, how can they learn to be? Because they don't know what that looks like. Yeah. Speaking of being vulnerable with your partner, it's my husband. We've been married for over 10 years. And I think that this year, we've really worked really hard to start to open up and be more vulnerable with each other. And even being married for that long, like it's still that's scary. It's so scary. And I think that it says more about us than them, right? I'm so scared to put this out there because what if I tell you something that you didn't know and it changes everything for you? And that's not going to happen. But
Your mind starts to come up with all these things of like reasons why not to do it, right? Because your ego is like, we can only protect you in this level of this relationship because that's what we've always ever done. So let's just keep it predictable. If you share this one thing, they might leave you. You know, this fear of abandonment and rejection really just starts to come through. And it's like, better not.
well, and it's too, if that fear is there about sharing that thing, what is it about that fear that you haven't worked through, right? What is it about that that you are holding on to that you need to sit with and really like figure out your feelings around that?
Hmm. Yeah. And that's exactly where I've been in my relationship, my romantic partnership, is wanting something deeper and being like, I am the gatekeeper here, right? I'm the holder of the drawbridge. And you could sit around and wait for the other person to do it because, oh, I can match you. But to be the leader on that, I have been realizing, oh, okay, this is part of my lesson to to really dig through this and just cross my fingers, close my eyes, and put it out there and just be like, here it is. And put myself out there and take myself into that deeper vulnerability. I have been feeling it so strong lately of this is part of your lesson down here on earth is get vulnerable. And because I've also realized this is the first relationship I think I've ever successfully been in where I typically am like a big fight. Well, I don't like fighting, but if there is like a big fight or if I'm like over the relationship, I'm just like, okay, bye, see you later, I'm out. Yeah, and and it's oh, that's why I haven't had a 1 year anniversary in 10 years, right? And I just celebrated my 1 year anniversary. And so I'm like, I made it a year, yay. What helped me make it a year was not just being like, peace out. It's okay, I have to share with you that this is where this anger is really coming from. In order for me to do that, I have to actually also spend the time, to your point, and understand myself. I can only share so much about myself as much as I understand myself. And it's dipping your toe into that vulnerability of like, okay, oh, I just got to do it. And when you do it, it feels so good if you're in like that safe space, like we talked about. You don't have to
Right.
go oversharing with, the person in front of you at the grocery store. It's, I am in this committed relationship with my partner, my spouse, my friend, my kid. And it is okay for me to share. And it just feels so good after. It really
It
does.
really does. And it's almost, thinking about these things that you have to dig into yourself with, right? Where it's, I need to understand that you have to be vulnerable with yourself too. And that really does trigger your ego, right? Where it's, I don't know what's happening right now. I don't know how I feel about this. Let's get out of here. Like real fast.
Let's go back to being stoic. You know what? Don't even share your whatever you're about to share. Just put that drawbridge right back up. We're totally cool being in the tower. It's not as lonely as we think it is. It's fine.
We can enjoy everything from the outside.
Yeah.
It's okay. And it's, man, it gets real uncomfortable. But then it's almost like the more that you do it, the easier it gets. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
it's anything, the more you practice it, the easier it gets. And I will say, I think the kind of catalyst of learning to be more vulnerable with my kids was being vulnerable on social media.
Yeah. What's this journey been like? That's interesting. Share more. Share more.
So a couple of years ago, we had this viral TikTok, very viral TikTok that was a complete fluke, but I was in a very bad space at that time. And all of the negative comments that came through really started to affect me. And it wasn't just comments on TikTok. We were having like articles written about us.
From big, like big companies, names
Yeah.
were involved. And that this was big.
And that was just a really hard thing to where I basically just deleted my TikTok, deleted everything, and stepped away for a long time. And you know what? After a lot of work, a lot of growth, realizing that this was kind of this thing that was really holding me back. And so I opened a TikTok again. Um, and I had it open for a really long time and didn't do anything. Didn't open it, didn't look at videos, didn't make videos. And finally, one day it was like, okay, this is what we got to do. And so I sat down and I posted this video, and it was basically our experience on this whole ordeal and just how we dealt with it as a family, how I worked through a lot of those negative reactions. And it was like, okay, here you go, TikTok. Like the people who literally had torn us apart, here you go. I'm just serving it on a platter for you. Have at it. And but it was met with a lot of love and encouragement and support. And it was like, okay. And I think the thing too was that not long after that posted, Olivia, our oldest, came home and said, she doesn't have TikTok. But she said, oh, my friend said you posted a TikTok video. And I was like, yep, it sure did. She's like, "Oh, yeah, we watched it." When she, again, had just was very encouraging and loving. And it was like, okay, like here was this this moment of me being just open and raw and vulnerable with literal complete strangers. And here comes this person who literally came from my body, who never knew this side of me. And she had to experience it like the rest of the world. And I was like, that's not fair. That's not how I want to her. I don't want her to see her mom through a computer screen or there was social media. I want her to see me and know me as me in our everyday interactions. And that was like the catalyst that just was like, you know what? She saw it. She sees my raw, real reactions. And she had nothing like love and excitement and wanted to talk about it. And I was like, okay, here we go. Like, this is it. And, since then, it's just been pretty just open book.
Yeah. Wow. I don't want my kid to see me through a screen like the rest of the world. That struck me deep in my soul. Whew. And it's so true. It's like, why can we do it with, it's just that extra next step, that layer of fear. And I think it's too, again, I care if the people on TikTok reject me for sure. I do. It's an ego thing, right? It hurts your feelings and sometimes get crazy comments and you're like, huh? Words sting you to your ego. But this person who literally came from me, what if this person rejects me?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's this missed opportunity for connectivity because what you're going to expect your 10-year-old child to be super vulnerable with you and share all these things with you um before she has to experience them in real life and learn the hard way, but you're not doing the same. And obviously there's levels to it, right? It's not this black and white thing of, sharing everything with your kid,
Right.
but it's use your discernment, of course. But as humans, we all have discernment when it's your ego holding you back out of fear of rejection versus, you know what, I don't really want to put the weight of this on my kid to worry about. Trust that you have that. You have discernment as well. But if you're wanting this type of relationship with your kid, or with your partner, with your friend or whatever. Be the first one, make the first move. That's even bolder. And how would you tie in the law of attraction to this?
Obviously, you attract what you're ready for. You attract who you are, right? And I think that if I'm only allowing you to see what I want you to see, I'm controlling everything. I'm resisting, right? So, how can I get what I want? How can I attract what I want if I'm resisting in all these other ways? And so it's like you have to be what you want. You have to be what you want to attract. And if you want connection, you want love, you want a strong relationship, that's going to be being open and honest and vulnerable.
I can even see this visual of I really want whoever this person is, my partner, my friend, my kid, my mom. I really want this person to give me a hug. And I'm just gonna walk up to them with my arms down at my side, or maybe even arms crossed
Right.
sometimes. And I'm just gonna bump into them. Or just stand there awkwardly in front of them. And then be like, I really just want a hug from you. Why aren't you giving me a hug? And then it's this miss. And a lot of times you're like, oh, they didn't give me a hug. Because it is a lot easier to do that. Yes, I do it all the time. It's much easier to do that. Oh, this is this person's lot. Wait, back this up. Your ego is going to be like, oh, look, see, they're not even giving you a hug because your ego does not want you to open your arms up and walk towards someone with open arms because what if they don't give you a hug?
But
So
exactly.
unrealistic if you see it that way. It's like, I can't expect this person to give me a hug if I'm not walking with at them or towards them with my arms open. But here's the thing is like, oh my gosh, what if they awkwardly go for the handshake? Or I shook somebody's hand yesterday. Like, why? Like, my arm was just like hanging out there. And I'm like, why am I shaking this person's hand? It was like such like a weird setting. It was like at Soul Cycle. I'm like, why am I shaking this person's hand? Anyways, anyway, they reached their hand out and shook mine back. And I acknowledged this is weird. I haven't shaken anyone's hand like this in a while. But anyway, I digress. But it can be awkward. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this sometimes? But something within you is leading you to walk around with your arms open. And guess what? Yeah, you might not get a hug back. But that's what vulnerability is. And do you have more of a chance of getting a hug if you walk up to someone with your arms open or if you walk up to them with your arms crossed?
Exactly. And it's almost like a symbolic, right? Where if my arms are crossed, I'm closed off. I'm closed off to you. I'm closed off to the situation. I'm closed off to basically sharing with you who I am. If my arms are open, I'm open. I'm open to our interaction. I'm open to who I am. I'm open to sharing with you those really important pieces of me. And
It's
I'm just yeah. And if you know me, you know that I am very awkward too. I don't like small talk and I'm definitely a hugger. And so I probably would have tried to shake somebody's hand and then, yeah, let's hug. But also, yeah,
it's okay. It's if you're not used to giving somebody a hug or the other person's also you have to not everything is about you. Like your life, we're so egocentric. Like I've been working on my TED talk and I'm like, oh my God, it's all about basically how like egocentric we all are and how it's not a bad thing. But your life is about you. So like when you go to give somebody a hug and they go for the awkward handshake, right? Like when I'm trying to be vulnerable with you and maybe they're not like picking up on the context clues and you're like, I don't know this again. It's so awkward. They probably think I'm so weird. And it's dude, this is not about you. Like their reaction has nothing to do with you.
exactly.
It has nothing to do with you. It's, oh, maybe they're just not used to giving hugs. Maybe they feel uncomfortable giving hugs. Maybe it's gonna take 3 hugs before they automatically just go for the hug next time. It's okay if it is a little bit uncomfortable at first and you are navigating, wait, are we hugging? Oh, wait, who's gonna hug first? Oh, wait, no handshake. Oh, awkward side hug. It is okay. And it's wildly unrealistic for us to expect, oh, I've never given a hug before to this person. I'm just gonna go in and bombard them and they're gonna think it's totally normal. And they're gonna just be like, man, waiting for this hug. Here you go. That's so unrealistic. It's allow it to be awkward, allow it to be organic, allow it to be this uncomfortable. We're gonna
Good.
be uncomfortable anyway. We might as well just allow everything about it to be uncomfortable. Allow it to be this uncomfortable. Hey, what works for us? What kind of hugs do we like? Is my right arm going up? Is my left arm going up? Is this like a 8-second hug? Is it a 3-second hug? Is it a side hug? What's going on here? And just allow yourself to lose the expectation of this is what the hug is supposed to feel like. I saw this
Yeah.
on the internet one time. This is what hugs look like. It's like a no, like this is what our hug looks like and feels like.
Yeah. And it's almost like that's even another new opportunity to be vulnerable where it's like, oh man, I thought you were gonna hug me, but you went in for the handshake. And so I'm a hugger. Do you like to hug? Instead of being like, okay, that's awkward and we're never talking
We're
again.
never
Like,
doing this again. I'm actually cutting you out of my life and never making eye contact with you ever again. You
don't call
know?
me, I'll call you. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll get back with you. And it's you have to try again. If it didn't work out for you the first time, right? If you had any type of advice for someone who's trying, okay, I've realized I would like some more vulnerability in my life. I think that could enhance some of my relationships. I would like to put my drawbridge down because it's getting a little lonely up here in my tower. What tips or what advice or like what worked for you when you're going for the hug and it's awkward? Help me get me there. Get me through this. Help me.
I think my biggest advice for anyone who really does struggle with just being open and vulnerable, especially with those people who are closest to you, is write a letter, write it down, write a note because you don't have to look at them like face to face, right? You can put all of it on paper and then you give it to them and then you wait for them to read it. And whenever I, this, when my husband and I first got married, I could not, if we had an argument or something was bothering me, I couldn't have this conversation like face to face. Like I would get so emotional and overwhelmed, and then I would forget what I wanted to say. And so I would write a letter and I would write everything down. I would write my feelings, I would write what bothered me, and then I would leave it somewhere for him to find, wait for him to read it, and then wait for him to come to me. And then we'd have this conversation. And it was like over time, it was okay. I would hand him the letter and sit there and watch him read it. And then we would have the conversation. And then eventually it was like, okay, let me just put it all out there for you. And then using that same technique with my kids, where it was like, hey, Olivia and I have a journal that we write back and forth to each other and putting in there just some things that saying face to face was scary for me. It was, and just watching her read it. And then it was easier to have that conversation. Whereas now it's like, all right, have a seat. Let's talk. Like, this is what's going on. Oh, you noticed this? Okay, let's talk about that. And so I think that's a big one is just writing it down and then going from there because
Yeah.
it just allows you to get it all out. And it's not so overwhelming that you have to have that kind of face to face rejection. It's it just stair steps you into it, I think.
I love that advice. I think that's really solid. My mom's an Enneagram 1, and she always used to write us notes like that. They were never good ones, but I'm like, I want the note writing thing as Enneagram 1 thing but that's solid advice. I love it because if you're do yourself a favor, right? Set yourself up for success. Start easy.
Yes,
Start with somebody who you really trust and love, first of all. Don't do this with someone who you're not really sure if your
right.
relationship is secure and you're there. So start with the people who you deeply trust. And then yes, if having an actual conversation is daunting to you, there's many different other ways to do it. And I love the letter. It's set yourself up, make it easy on yourself, right? Work smarter, not harder. Use these tools that you can
Right.
actually can help you. I love that. I love that letter idea.
And it's like a muscle, right? You have to work it out. You have to practice it. And so if that means like sitting with somebody that you trust really well and saying something that I really like blue instead of green. Well, man, I've told you I've gone along with green with our whole relationship. But I really got to tell you, I don't like green. I like blue better. And it's these little things that are probably really trivial to the other person. Like they could care less,
Oh, yeah.
but it's to you. You've been holding on to it for so long. Oh, that felt good. Okay, let's go again. Let me tell you something else.
Yeah, and this that's an interesting point I wanna bring in because vulnerability does not have to be like your deepest, darkest secrets, right?
Right.
It's really just sharing more about yourself. And in order to do that, make this easy on you. Get to know yourself. If you
Yes.
don't know how to express it outwards, well, figure it out on the inside. What do I feel? What am I feeling? Where is this coming from? Why do I think I might feel this way? And that way, when the other person asks you these questions, you have an answer. When you can and you can help them understand. So I love that. But the person I'm dating, it was just our 1 year anniversary. And I love this person. I love them. And he's a very romantic person. And he's bought me flowers, I want to say 3 or 4 times in this year. And he bought me flowers for our 1 year anniversary. And you would not know this looking at me, but I hate the color red. I hate it.
Red
I know.
flowers and red everything.
Red everything. I hate
Okay.
red. You will never see me in red. I can't even remember the last time I wore red. prom, senior prom. Yeah. Honestly. And I hate the color red. And he buys me red roses every time there's like a fight or a celebration. And I was like, okay, I get it. I get your gesture. I love, and that's why I said, I was like, okay, I have the chance to be vulnerable and be like, I'm also risking the fact that you're going to think I'm like this really big jerk because, and I'm not appreciating your gesture of buying me flowers.
Flowers again.
Yeah, and I didn't wanna make him feel bad for buying me the wrong flowers or just seeming like I didn't appreciate them, but at the same time, I was like, if I don't, this is linking in my, like, the overcoming the fear of confrontation, but if I don't tell you now, in 20 years, when you get me red roses for the 500th time, I'm gonna be really mad, and I'm gonna just have this outburst of like, "Yes," and he's gonna be like, "What? I've literally been buying these for 20 years." So I'm like, "You know what?" So, "Babe, I love you. I love that you do nice gestures like this," and this was vulnerability for me because a lot of times it's just, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal," and then you're saying to yourself, "I'm
Mhm.
not that big of a deal."
Exactly.
It's essentially the message that you are telling yourself. And I'm like, no, I know I'm a big deal. So I can do this with kindness. I can do this in a respectful way to everybody involved, including myself. I respect myself. Also, like, I know your values and you don't like to waste money. So I think you'd prefer to not waste money on something that I don't like. So I said, I love you. I love that you are such a romantic guy. You pick the most romantic flower out there. And I appreciate you buying me them. And I'm going to tell you now because we're just 1 year into our relationship. And I do not want this to come out in 20 years. Red roses are not my favorite. I like neutral colors. My whole house is neutral. I like white. I like light pink. I like peonies and I like ranunculus. I like hydrangeas. Those are the flowers that I like. And I know that you want to get me something that I like. So here's just some guidance. And then I threw in like and buy from a local florist that's female owned because that would just make me happy. But that was just a little side thing. Hey, you might as well go for it at that point. And but that was vulnerability for me because I was risking being rejected. Oh my God, this girl's crazy. She's not appreciating my gift, blah, blah, blah. And it didn't have to be this terrible thing about me that I'm sharing. But it was like, no, like I'm expressing and being vulnerable, not only with my deep, dark fears and secrets, but also about my desires. That was a big growth point for me.
I'm very proud of you. I think that's great. But I
Right.
think, yeah, it does speak to your point of if I don't, if I let this continue, I'm saying that it's not a big deal. I'm not a big deal and my feelings don't matter. And that's not true. They do. And thinking, how would he feel after 20 years of being like, wait, you don't like red roses? I don't know anything about you. I don't know you. Like this
Mhm.
whole time, I thought you liked red roses. That you lose that connection.
It's doing a disservice to the other person.
Yeah.
And knowing him, he'd probably be like, I've spent X amount of money on medicines over the
As a
last 20 years.
spreadsheet.
You know these men. But yeah. So just funny but yeah, it's doing a disservice to everybody, including yourself, right? You are depriving yourself and the person who you are with, whether it's your partner, your friend, or your child, or your parents,
Yeah.
whoever you're with in this situation, you're depriving both of you from this connection. And really, if there's one thing I've learned from coaching, it's everybody is their own shade of weird, and everybody desperately just wants to be their true, authentic, weird self, but wants that weird self to be accepted.
Yes.
I think I could just wrap up humanity in in just that one sentence.
I think that's, I'll tell you, my husband, if he listens to this, I'm sorry. Tell him your secret. His, my husband is like 6'3", 250 pounds. He's a big guy. His biggest fear, his arch nemesis is cotton balls.
Interesting.
Cannot can't deal with it.
Has a visceral reaction to cotton balls. Ooh, they're weird, they're gross.
Will shudder and curl up and run away. It's
Did he eat one as a child?
I don't know, but his friends like to pick on him and they put him in his
Oh.
wine glass and
Oh, see, this is why people don't like being vulnerable because people take advantage and then share their secret on a national podcast. Global, actually.
sorry. But his friends know this about him, right? And this is something that everybody else finds funny. Obviously, he does not.
Yeah.
But it's not this big, huge secret, right? It's not this big, huge deal. But you still let these people in on it and they know a little bit more about you. Everybody's like, why? What happened? Like, what trauma did you go through to have this?
CrossFit guys?
It is. It's like it doesn't mean, yeah, telling your deepest, darkest secret from 30 years ago. Being vulnerable is just letting people in on who you are and what makes you and why you do the things you do or why you say the things you say. Or it's just, yeah, we're all awkward and weird. And we've got these weird nuances that from the outside looking in, you're like, wow, that person's really got it together. Like they love their life.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, but did you know they don't like
Cotton
cotton
balls.
balls?
Yeah. Oh, man. That's hilarious. And not about the cotton ball thing, but just actually, yes, the cotton ball thing. Because I have weird things too. Everyone does. And that's the point is everybody does. And it's, man, if I were to think about it, honestly, just look at it this way. I just really want to be my weird, authentic self. And I really want people to know me. And I'm not going to tell anybody anything about me. It doesn't align. You're out of alignment. And when things are out of alignment, things don't work. I want people to know me. Great. That is your desire. Okay. Let's work backwards. How are we going to get there?
Yeah.
Probably never sharing anything about myself is not going to get me on the path to people getting to know me. So you just have to say, hey, are my actions, are my words, are my beliefs and thoughts, and do they all align down this path of what I want? And if I don't even know where to start, that probably tells me I got to start with me. What is it about these cotton balls? Why do I cringe every time I go into the bathroom? It's probably the cotton balls and figure it out yourself first. Because a lot of
Right.
times what happens is we get mad at other people for throwing cotton balls at us and we don't realize, oh, this comes from actually my hate of cotton balls. And man,
Exactly.
he just
Well,
probably
and it,
is you're on the PTO, you're gonna have to like this winter wonderland, Christmas, holiday, whatever it is, show, you're gonna have to really eliminate the cotton ball use. Now that you have
oh,
power, just saying for people to get through the holiday show.
it's gonna be a tough one.
Mhm.
I will say, what if you, instead of whenever you walked up and said, hi, I'm Angela. Nice to meet you. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm this, that, the other. You walked up and you said, like, the three things about you that no one knows, right? Hi, I'm Angela. I don't like my cheese to touch my mayonnaise on a sandwich. You know,
Same, we're the same. We're the same. See, we're connecting. I didn't know that about you. I hate when food touches other food.
that's me. My clothes are color coordinated in my closet, always and forever.
Same. Oh my God, are we the same person?
I think we are the same person.
Team. Give me one more. Let's see if we can go 3 for 3.
Ooh, okay, let me think of like I'm trying to think of something that people are always like, "What? That's so strange." Man, no, I can't think of another one.
Okay. Actually, this is a good segue into the habit that I want to start doing at the end of this Fate podcast so everyone can get to know all the coaches a little bit better. And this was actually your idea. And Jasleen and I had done this on a podcast a couple back. So definitely check that out. But you had these questions and you were like, hey, I think this would be fun to ask at the end of every podcast episode, just like for a fun little thing to do. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is a great way for people to get to know you. So we have this kind of array of questions, and you don't know which ones that I have picked, but I'm going to ask you it anyway. And so I have
Okay.
2 here. Let me zoom in because, ooh, I am a millennial. Gotta get my readers on. Okay, here's a good one. Have a 1-minute conversation with your past self or your future self.
My past self.
What would you say?
I think the biggest thing I would say is you are enough. You are good enough. You are smart enough. You are kind enough. You are loving enough. You are enough.
Yeah, that's a powerful minute. You don't even need the whole minute if that's what you're saying.
So,
Mic drop and then you're back. You're out.
that's it. I'm off to my sandwich.
Yes. Oh God. That is so funny. Okay. And this is, I think I know this answer. I don't know. You let me know. Last question. Would you rather be loved deeply by one person or liked by many?
Oh, yeah. You already know the answer.
I
Love
do,
you
especially
by
after
one
hearing the
person.
TikTok story. But
Yeah.
what is your answer?
I think love deeply by one person. It's like this thing of, I've always said quality over quantity. And I will take a one good friend over 100 acquaintances. We'll take that one deep connection over these small outside connections that you never really get. It's almost like you can only get close enough. Like you can't
Yeah.
get anything more than that. And it
No
leaves you wanting to
vulnerability.
give.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Hmm.
uh,
I love that. I'm going to take that a step deeper and say, would you rather be loved by deeply by one person or liked by many? And if you choose deeply by one person, that person can even be yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think choosing myself, obviously, because you have to love yourself in order to truly love someone else.
Mhm. Mhm.
You cannot love, truly, authentically love someone else if you don't love yourself.
Yeah. That sounds like our next podcast episode that we're going to have to do is how to authentically love yourself and why it's the best thing that you will ever do. So stay tuned for that one because that one's going to be good. And I know authenticity is one of your biggest values. And I know you're just so passionate and it's your goal to help people become their authentic self. Wow. So I'm looking forward to that one. And thank you so much for this episode. It was just, I felt like just a big hug the whole time.
I
So
know.
thank you for
An
that.
open heart hug, right?
Open heart hug. 8-second open heart hug is the best and only way to hug. I'll do another episode on that too. Like it's literally
And
life changing.
if you need an opportunity to be vulnerable, there it is right there.
Arms open. Oh my gosh, are they going to go for the handshake? And to really hug someone for 8 seconds, it really does. That's all it takes.
And
There's studies on this. 8-second hug. And that is one way that Al and I always greet each other. It's 8-second open heart hug. And it's like something changes in those 8 seconds. Anyway, we could go on and on, but we'll wrap it up. If you would like to hear an episode on the 8 second hug, leave a post about it or a comment on about it in the community. We're always open to see what discussions that you would love to hear in a podcast episode. So that's all we got for you today. Of course, if we could leave you with one thing, it is this. And this is going to be Angela's test to see if she knows how the podcast ends. You ready?
ready.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Expect
Expect
good
good things
things always.
always, and they
And
will happen.
and they will happen. Man, 10 out of 10. You nailed that. Good job. If you are interested in coaching with Angela, check her out on the website. All of her information, her bio, all of her amazing things, her Enneagram 1 amazing Virgo-ness is all over her website page. So definitely check that out. And you'll be hearing a lot more from her in the future. So tune in and we will talk to you next time. Well, that's what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, subscribe. I post content like this all of the time. And be sure to check out your special offer to see how you can get unlimited access to all of the coaching tools, including exclusive podcasts like this, coaching courses. We got live calls, meditations, and so much more coming. That link is in the show notes. So make sure you grab that. I am so excited for this membership to launch. And if you have been with me on this journey, I just want to say thank you. it's been on my heart now for a long time to be able to provide affordable and accessible life coaching resources to anybody who is on their growth journey. And I am so pumped that it is finally here. It's finally launched. Y'all, I have been working on this for almost 2 years, and I would absolutely love to see you in there. So check out that special offer in the show notes. And with that, I will leave you the way I always leave you. Expect good things always, and they will happen.